We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk. Welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And what do we have today? So we have Porsche has announced some subscription stuff. So we'll get into the details of it because it's pretty lengthy. Taycan wide body.
Yeah, read that. Super interested in that.
Yeah. If you've been living under a rock, you know, we'll talk about some of the stuff that's been canceled.
Lots of things.
Unveiling of the Panamera. And then we have a cool little segment today, Porsche Stupid News. So we'll go over that. Oh,
nice. I'm excited.
And it's not for Florida this time.
Yep.
How about that?
Florida man.
Yeah, not Florida man. Well, you know, the funny thing is I won't spoil it too poorly, but when I tell you where he's from, it's kind of like the Florida of their region. So
okay.
So let's go ahead and get rolling. Porsche subscriptions are opening in the LA branch. This is a big deal because Porsche is starting to basically branch out into other cities where they're going to offer their subscription service. Some newer things though with them coming out, and this is to all of the branches that are already existing subscriptions. There's going to be a rental option, not just for those people, but meaning you and I coming to town, or you coming to town. You're going to be able to rent a 911 from them.
So not have to deal with Hertz and possibly get a 911. Yeah, I could actually get a 911 or something.
From the source, yeah, and it's new. So I think this is going to put a dent in Turo because basically a Macan will cost you $245 a day. Not bad. 911, which is even more shocking. Some people may say oh, that's ridiculous, but you don't know unless you've looked at 911 prices trying to rent from any of these places before. It's only $395 a day for a brand new 911.
Go do that elsewhere, and it's $1,000 a day. It's ridiculous.
Easy.
Because insurance and all that.
Because even on Turo, it's $600 to $800 to try to rent a 911.
Yeah, because
and those are usually older 911s. These are going to be brand new 911s.
Some person's used 911.
Yeah,
dirty laundry is Matt Mormon would say.
Exactly. So that's actually pretty cheap. So they're going to put a pretty significant dent in any type of exotic or high-end rental place when you can just rent from the source.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Now, the flip side of that, obviously, full disclaimer, this is only offered in certain areas. So in the areas that it'll be offered in is looks like LA, Atlanta, Phoenix, and San Diego. Las Vegas was on the docket, but right now they're kind of on hold due to COVID. But circling back to the subscriptions, so they've actually modified it a little bit. Before it was a blanket type of deal, meaning you could do a subscription.
It's two levels.
It was this price. So now there's an additional tier, meaning you can do one car at a certain price. So meaning you could do it. Then the cheapest ones to do it with is a Macan. It's starting at $1,500 a month. You can basically subscribe to a Macan every month. And you can do that with all of the cars in the lineup. Meaning,
that's really not a bad deal.
Yeah, if you want to do something specific, if you want to do it for just that month, you could do a 911 for $2,600 a month.
Yeah.
So there you go. You could just do a 911 if that's all you want, and sub out a 911 for a month, brand new. And also, you can go down the line too. You do Cayenne, you could do, if you're a Boxster, you want to do a Cayman. Those prices all variant, but the cheapest and the most expensive, I just gave you that. So that's inside that wheelhouse. All those other numbers, they didn't really disclose that. But $1,500 for the Macan, expensive side 911, $2,600 a month. Now, you can also do the traditional like they have, where you can lump all the cars together, right? So now you can do a full subscription cost for $2,100. And you can do the lesser models, meaning you could probably get a Macan, a Boxster, and whatever else variant they throw in that, and you could switch that up every 30 to 90 days is how they will let you switch in and out cars if you do that subscription, and that's the higher tier. The more expensive side on that, on the other side of the Delta, is $3,100 a month for the higher end stuff, which will include a 911. So you'll probably get a 911 Cayenne, fill in the blank.
It could work out. Especially if you had vacation planned and you're you know what, I want to drive the 911 this month, but my vacation's coming up and I need some room.
Exactly.
Next month.
You're I'm going to go to Tahoe, so I want a Cayenne Turbo or something like that, or a Cayenne S, whatever they let you have, and you take that up there, or and if you're part of the subscription thing. So the only downside I could see to all of this, which makes total sense though, you have to live in a 50-mile radius of any of those cities that I mentioned to be eligible to do this program. Which makes sense, though, because if they're going to service a car, if they're going to bring you a car, especially if you're switching things up.
Is that part of their service? They do bring cars, or?
They do. I think, I remember this the last time we reported this. I don't remember 100%. I think there's a service to do that.
Okay.
But you can do that.
Sense.
You can do
That'd
that.
Be cool if it was part of it.
I think if you do the highest level, then they come to you.
Concierge.
Yeah, they come to you on the switch out. And then they'll get you, the next car within your like I said, it's a 30 to 90 day. I think you got to live with the car that you picked. And then basically get something else. But I think it's pretty cool I think the biggest takeaway from all of this for me is the rental option.
Yeah, that's cool that they probably learned that they can make a buck a little bit easier with the rentals, but I'm glad they're starting to get in the game. And it's always kind of a hard thing to do for any of these companies, no matter what, Turo, whatever you're dealing with those people.
Well, you think about it. I think about it from a business standpoint is they're probably approaching this as we're going to have some overflow for when people do sign up, obviously. So they have fleet vehicles. If you can imagine Porsches being fleet vehicles.
That's true.
So
good call.
like
keep them moving.
Just like Ford sells a lot of fleet trucks to like commercialized places. That's what I'm using in relative. So you have these are going to be their fleet vehicles that they're subscribing out to people. And then on the flip side of that, you're going to have a rotating group of cars. So there's going to be idle time for cars. So if you're a customer flying into town for 2 or 3 days and you want a 911 and I have one sitting on the lot, why would I not rent you that car for 3 days and make $1,200 as opposed to just letting it sit and do nothing?
Waiting on whoever.
Waiting on the next person to get that in their subscription. So I think that's where the rental aspect has come in, where they've been able to develop that and see that there's going to be lag time on these cars where you can go out and rent these cars if you're into the city. And I know for you and I, when we travel, this is going to be huge for us because now instead of us getting on tour and be like, oh, well, we can rent a Cayenne for like $300 a day and do this, like, screw that, dude. We'll just go get a freaking Macan for $245 a day.
Yep.
Done. And then obviously that's per day. And then it also did say in the reading that the weekly rate is lower if you go for a full week.
Okay.
So it is lower.
They do reward you for going
exactly for
days.
The entire week. It'll be a lower rate. So I mean, essentially, you could probably get into a Macan for 7 days for like $1,400 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need that, I mean, that's
regular rental car or that. I mean, that's
exactly.
Easy
Pay a
choice.
little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, and not driving around some beater bucket that's been abused to death.
I see. There's one caveat to no GT cars on the rentals.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes to without having to be said.
Yeah.
But I'll say it. Obviously, that's excluding. Even if you're at the high subscription level, they're not going to let you bring a GT car to your house. They're not going to bring you probably a turbo car to your house. Like those are the coveted like lines. That's their higher end stuff. So you're probably not going to see that stuff. I mean, you'll probably see the mid-level stuff like the S's. You'll probably get a Carrera S. You probably get a
also a good
Macan S or a Cayenne S or whatever. You'll probably see those on the higher tier stuff, but they're not going to bring you a 911 Turbo S. I mean, come on.
Also a good way to kind of test the waters. Maybe you have a little older 911 or Cayenne or whatever, and you just want to try out the new one for a month to see if you'd want.
Yeah.
See if there's a difference.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm glad you bring that up, too, because they have the month subscription, too. You can just do it for a month. So you're not locked in. Like before, you used to sign up for like a year.
Yeah.
So like you could just do a month, like you said, and I want to live with this car for 30 days to see if I'm actually a buyer for this car and be like, you know what, I hate this. I'm not going to do that. So again, in that price point for that month, you could do a Macan. You could do, even if you want to do the new 911. You're like, you know what, I kind of like this car. I heard Mike and Aaron talk about it. I want to get a base 911 for $2,600 for this next 30 days and see what this car's about and see if I actually like this car and go drive it around and be like, you know what? I love this car. I'm going to go buy one now. So spend $2,600 to basically save, what, 100 and something thousand if you're not interested?
It's true.
Almost kind of the PPI motto. Go spend like on a good PPI, $600-700. Yeah, maybe you're out $600-700 because you don't, but they covered all the stuff, so it saved you from a $70,000 problem. You know, kind of that theory behind this. If you want to apply that, that could work too. Or even nice if you live in one of these cities. The nice part about that is husband, wife, whoever. Maybe you're shopping a new car too, and instead of just test driving it, you go rent it for a week or something, or you go rent it for a couple days and spend $600-700 on a Macan or a Cayenne or whatever, or Boxster or whatever she wants or you want, and you spend 3-4 days with it, and you're like, yeah, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and then you had a couple fun days with it, and then you return it.
Or it's everything you wanted, and you're at the dealership making
and
wheeling and dealing,
and you're making a buy. And then since you spent some seat time, maybe you spec it the right way now.
That's true.
Think about it that way, right? So maybe you drive a car and you're like, oh, I like the comfort seats, and I really wanted carbon buckets before, but that doesn't really make sense for my usage.
For the Macan,
yeah, exactly. For the Macan buckets. But I think it's really cool that they're branching out. I mean, it's granted, like, they're not reinventing the wheel. There's a lot of other places that offer this kind of subscription service, but they are pioneering this rental thing. And the 1 month subscription. This is something that Porsche is exclusively doing. No other brand's doing that part yet. So this is very, very new.
That's kind of cool too for like if you needed outside of a loaner vehicle, if you weren't within that loaner period. You could just
think
rent
about
from
that
them.
too.
Yeah.
You think about if you're one of those people who does have maybe your one car, and maybe it goes down for an engine build. Let's say, and you're doing something with it. Who knows? Maybe you daily and air cooled, and it needs a full engine rebuild, and it's going to be down for a couple weeks just because the place is backed up. Hell, you could go get. You're like, you know what? I'm going to go spoil myself. I'm going to go rent a 911 for a month, $2,600. I still have a driver now, and I'm still driving a 911 while my air cooled's getting built. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So, I mean, there's a lot of plug and play options on this that you can use that would make for practical life. The only shame about this is where it's located. Obviously, we're not anywhere close to this.
Not happening in Tampa right now.
I mean, I would bet if this ever did come to Florida, it'd probably start in Miami. Right? And
next to the Porsche
and
design.
I'd be willing to bet that Tampa would never get anything like this because they just don't have the market for it. Like it's probably based on sheer population and probably income level and all that kind of stuff, and like how many Porsches are sold in that area. All of that data probably goes into all of this. If you notice, the common denominator here is a lot of these places are West Coast.
Yep, did see that.
So a lot of cars on the West Coast. Makes sense. I mean, you don't even see other highly populated cities like Chicago, New York. You don't see those on here.
They have winters.
No, exactly. But I'm just saying, look at where all of these things are.
True story.
There's a reason for this, right? Like you said, I think it does have something to do with winter, but also I think it has something to do with protecting their own asset, right? Like you're not going to want to have somebody in the city do a subscription on your 911 and street park that thing where it's just getting beaten to hell all the time. Yeah. Especially when you're the proprietary owner of that car. When you're going to get it back and it's going to be all damaged to hell, they probably don't want to even put it in those arenas just to give it that opportunity.
They have to still have to maintain it.
Yeah, they don't even want to give it that opportunity.
True story.
So I guess we're moving to Atlanta. That's the closest place we can get it, right?
Yep.
Long story short, we're moving to Atlanta. All right, so that's the info on that. So if you're in one of those cities or you're visiting in one of those cities, you can possibly rent a Porsche if you want to. So just basically reach out to one of those places. I'm sure it's probably Porsche Experience Center or something like that. It's going to be running that. But if you're one of those people, obviously you'll probably be able to find what you need from that.
Yep.
So Taycan wide body kit exists.
So it exists, or they're going to make it?
No, that's a third-party company.
Okay.
Prior Design is making this. I've already seen the pictures. It exists. I knew this would happen eventually just because every car gets some type of kit, no matter what it is. And whoever makes it.
Gimbala-ish.
Yeah, whoever makes it. It actually looks pretty cool, believe it or not. I looked at it. It looks very race car-ish because it's got like big fender flares on it.
Does it look like that RS mock-up that they did back in the day?
A little bit. Not as aggressive as that, but a little bit like that. The interesting thing about this is there's not a lot of Taycans out there. However, the one or two people that might want one body kit, I'm sure this place will sell 2 or 3 of them.
Well, especially if you want to be different.
Well, I think this is going to be definitely for like that LA hot boy who's probably a YouTuber or something like that who gets a Taycan and it's like, I'm going to wide body my Taycan, you know, like clickbait, look at this and that kind of stuff. I think this is where those are going to go, like to those type of people.
I wonder what it does to efficiency, because you're going to have to run bigger wheels, tires that are not made.
Probably not a lot of good stuff, but it's going to look cool, and that's all that matters, right? Like people do a lot of stuff that aren't efficient on cars that look cool. And what are your thoughts on this? Is this a gee whiz thing? Like, wow, who gives a shit?
Thing. I don't know. I already think it looks good. I don't know that.
Who's gonna want to cut up a Taycan?
That's another thing too. Like,
but I mean, you say that though, and like people are cutting up like Lamborghini Aventadors, and people are cutting like Liberty Walk kits. People are cutting up $400,000 or $500,000 cars. So like, that can't be the who's gonna cut this up? There's gonna be plenty of people who will cut this thing up if you let them to put this like wide body kit on it. I mean,
this could definitely be in LA.
Oh, 100%. This is where if at all, this is where they'll be. Like the 2 or 3 of them that are sold, they'll be out there. There's probably somebody actually already doing them, like in the works. We just haven't seen it yet. Like this is probably it's just probably in for paint right now. They're just finishing it. So I'm sure it will pop up on Instagram or somewhere.
Would you use it? I mean, would you get this body kit?
No, I don't like cutting up cars.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it. I'm not. I mean, I don't even want to take an early 911 and make it an RSR tribute. Like I wouldn't want to even do that to that car, and that's at least more sensible. Like because that car kind of existed at least. This Taycan wide body is just for a gee whiz thing. Like I wouldn't. It just doesn't make sense for me. I mean, I get why people like doing different stuff because they want to stand out, and there's a place for that. But I just have zero interest in it. I don't get it.
I don't think that I really haven't seen too many.
Because now you've taken that car and now you've zeroed it down to maybe you can resell that car to 1 or 2 people in the entire world.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure you get that car.
One other person that likes
you have to get that car in front of those people, those 1 or 2 people. That's the way my brain works on efficiency like that. I'm just like, what if I ever needed to sell this? I'm married to this thing forever now.
What if it just goes into a collection though too? So
who the hell's going to buy a Taycan for a collection?
I'm saying
to wide body.
I'm saying the person that bought the car in the first place was like, hey, just another one.
Yeah, I guess.
At least it doesn't look like Bob's down the street.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a problem because my neighbor has a Taycan Turbo S, but that's the only one we've ever really seen
in the wild. That was the craziest part.
Yeah. An 1/8 of a mile away from my house.
Yeah. We saw it come down Mike's street and we're like,
is that my neighbor?
It's your neighbor.
He pulled in. I was like, son of a bitch. Look at this guy. Really flexing.
Stormtrooper
so just go park it next to my drop head Wraith.
Out in the open too.
Yeah.
It's not. Don't worry. It's not garaged.
Yeah, he doesn't care. I just thought it was an interesting thing to bring up just because it's Porsche news.
Maybe you should talk to him and see if he's interested.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got time for that kind of crap. He's like, get out of here with this garbage.
Where do I send it?
I can't even speak to you anymore for
How do I
saying
get one?
that. Yeah, dude, it's one of those things. It's
so hot boying it up. What color do you make it?
Acid green. I think that's the most hot boy I can go with something acid green something.
Yeah, full EV. So it's green.
Caution cone orange.
God.
Something ridiculous. Anyway, something awful like that. Let's talk about a couple things and then we'll go to break.
Okay.
If you haven't heard and you've been living under a rock, Luft has been canceled, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I don't know if cancel is the right word. I said maybe postponed to next year is the way they're saying it. Do we think we're going to get fortunate enough to have it on the East Coast again? Was this our one chance? And
this is the one, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we were going to give it to you guys, but Rona happened. Sorry, back on the West Coast.
And we're back on the West Coast.
I hope they don't dupe us like that. I hope we still have it where they were going to have it. I hope it's just going to be 2021.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see all those cars in that place, in that region. It's a sweet spot.
But bummer on that.
But we were waiting though.
I kind of knew it was going to happen because that thing was kind of dormant for a while, and we were inching towards.
There weren't any tickets out, and
nobody
the
had sold any.
Was coming.
Exactly, there was no entry tickets sold. There was no basically submit your car. There was none of that going on. So I kind of got the feel that you know, if you're in tune with any of the loose stuff and you're paying attention to how their stuff works. I know they do stuff late sometimes, but it was way too late.
Media
like,
passes,
none of
right.
that stuff was operating. So it was kind of one of those like, yeah, it ain't happening. And then you think about it too. Generally speaking, with the race season, some of these guys that are actually race car drivers that are involved with Luft, the race season has been extended
and compressed.
Yeah,
all,
but I'm saying,
things,
yeah, extended towards like later in the year, which overlap with this. Not that it didn't overlap before, but there was weekends in between, I guess is what I'm getting at, and that refers to what you're saying, compressed. So there really wasn't any real time for some of these guys to like really get their hands on stuff, even though a lot of the stuff is already like farmed out. It still is stressful doing all that. So it makes sense. Kind of a bummer because I know a lot of people, at least from our region, were thinking about basically caravanning up together. I think we had like 30, 40 cars that were just going to roll all the way up. You know, most of them air-cooled all the way up to North Carolina. It was going to be pretty epic and fun, and we were going to take advantage of the roads again while we were up there and drive around, and that's kind of out.
I can't imagine whoever planned that Valkyrie route or whatever from West Coast to East Coast. Good on them.
I know, right? So just wash, rinse, and repeat. Do it next year, hopefully. And then some things you can go to, so not all dismal. You can go to Petit Le Mans in October at Road Atlanta.
That was a good one.
So go see some racing before the factory cars aren't out there anymore for who knows how long. So that's in Atlanta in October. You got the HSR 24-hour race in November in Daytona. We'll be at that one as well. All these ones I'm mentioning that we'll be at.
Yep,
so
should be there.
Sebring 12-hour in November. We'll be at that one as well. And that's the last endurance race of the season. And that's going to be the last time you're going to see the Porsche factory race car for who knows.
Could be ever.
Yeah. Could be a 5-year hiatus. It could be 1 year. It could be a decade. Who knows? We don't know. But the point is, it's almost like, hey, if you're alive, you want to go to Michael Jordan's last basketball game, you know where it's at. Don't make an excuse. You should probably go.
Somebody's been watching Last Dance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The car will probably eventually come back, but obviously it'll be different probably when it comes back. So if you want to see it in this form, take advantage. You do have a couple races to go to see it at. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about 2021 Panamera, and then Porsche Stupid Stuff, and then sponsor for the month. Thank you guys listening to PCAR Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, you know, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment, we really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com, there is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward and all the exciting things that are coming out. Now back to the show. All right, we're back from break. So Porsche unveiling the new 2021 Panamera. We kind of a few weeks ago talked about it, them doing their Nurburgring lap, all that kind of stuff.
I knew it was on the horizon.
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of it, the in-car, which was cool. You know, it's all caged out in a Panamera, which is a little different. What are your thoughts on the styling of the new 2021 Panamera?
I didn't really notice a big difference.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. I just asking.
I didn't. I know that they
Is
did.
it any different?
They did. I mean, I was hoping it was going to be like way different, and it looks like they have updated like that 992 tail light look, more 3D as they call it. Yeah, seeing that reveal today was a little weird.
Yeah.
Like that digital premiere.
Yeah.
They could have done one in all English. The whole German and then dubbing over it was a little strange.
Yeah.
And then for the fact that it wasn't that long.
Yeah,
like,
short.
It was like five minutes.
Tells you what we think about the Panamera.
Just wanted to let everybody know.
We're making a new one, guys. Here you go.
And the crazy part is they didn't even... I don't remember them like really touting their Nurburgring time.
Yeah, they did mention it because I saw it at the end. Like they talked about it.
But they had like up front they showed like every different version like spec, and then they kind of just went into it. Hey, the new. What do you like about this? And they really referred back to using all their hybrid technology from the race car, which is what we preach all the time.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway I think for me on it was when they referred to the hybrid technology, saying like it's more efficient. So you're getting more power and you get more efficiency out of it. So that's the bigger. I think that's the bigger move on the 2021
Yeah, they bumped
Taycan
up
for the hybrid.
the kilowatts on the hybrid.
Yeah, so they pumped it up. Again, like you said, it's a high end performer, and like if you get the souped up one, right, the Turbo S or whatever,
Turbo S Hybrid Sport Turismo.
Yeah. Still good looking car. I mean,
Yeah.
still a great looking car. I mean, you know, the Sport Turismo one, I should say.
Which they made sure they showed a lot of, or as much
Yeah.
as they could.
Exactly. Again, I was kind of with you. It doesn't look that much different. Unless, I mean, I guess if you're a Panamera connoisseur, it looks probably different.
I would need to see the old gen and that gen ride by each other.
Yeah, side by side. But remember, let's be fair. Maybe they're keeping to Porsche heritage in the sense of minor tweaks per year.
Yeah.
Remember, like same thing with the 911. You know, people outside of the brand
like
for
what
the
they got.
longest time, like, oh great, another 911. It looks just like the other 911. So maybe there's a little bit
Keep
of
it with
thought engineering behind it, small tweaks to perfect what it is instead of drastic moves with it as they continue to develop that line. And maybe at some point, you know, they, in their mind, it'll be perfect where they think it's perfect before they.
I'm sure it's more aggressive because that seems to be the kind of thing they're doing, a little bit more edges versus.
Yeah. You know, honestly,
softness.
I don't remember them trying to do a Nurburgring time with the last launch of the Panamera before any type of change.
No, it seems like kind of they've kind of started doing that after maybe it was the 992 launch. I've heard somewhere there's one of these launches that they started.
Yeah.
Nurburgring lap time's a thing.
Yeah.
They've kind of stuck with that.
Yeah, I
formula.
think it's just one of their things. I think it's a Gee Whiz thing. I think it's cool. Fastest executive sedan is the classes it falls
Get
into
in
on
that
there around the
airport
Nurburgring.
super quick.
Yeah. Interesting class of car, right? Executive class car, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would consider that the S class is there and the 7 Series is there. So
Yeah. But I mean,
Take
is that
that.
really a competitor for that car? Because I don't really like those cars. Don't parallel. I mean, I see the 7 and the S going against each
Yeah.
other, but you know, Panamera is luxury if you get it spec'd out all the way. But it's just way more sportier than either one of those cars in my mind, and even its, I don't know, and even its chemistry and its DNA. But I guess that's what Porsche wants. But I just don't see it in those classes. I see it more in an M class kind of car,
you don't feel like
and
you
an
don't feel like
AMG
it's
car.
more. It's not more. It's not cushy enough.
I just don't see it that way. I think it maybe it's in the AMG fighter category, but in the, who knows? I don't know. That's just I could be wrong. I don't know.
Could be.
When you get a souped up Turbo S or something.
So you think
like
it's
that.
more of a 5 Series or an E class style, like that type AMG style?
Yeah, maybe 6 Series, something like that in that. But it's not that class of car, I guess, is what I'm getting at. I just meant like performance-wise. I think more performance when I think of Panamera compared to those other cars. I think luxury when I think of those other cars.
I get what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? I don't think of it as a
genre
lesser.
type.
Yeah, I don't think of
I
it
get
as
what
a
you're saying.
lesser car. You know, I don't want to make it sound like that. I'm not trying to say that. I think it's a different category of cars. What I'm trying to say. It's not. I don't look at it as a luxury car. I look at it as a sports sedan. I don't look at it as an executive class car. I look at it as a sports sedan.
You're looking at it for the fact that it has luxury bits, and that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But
because if
foremost,
it's not, why the hell? Why are you running a Nurburgring time if it's not a sports sedan?
Yeah.
Because you don't see them even with the AMG. What is it? S65 is their high-end S class. You don't see them running Nurburgring times with that car.
Or at least not announcing if they are.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that anything wrong with the Nurburgring time. It's just I don't see it as an executive car. I see it as a sports sedan. But I don't see Porsche making an executive car, like something floaty
They need something bigger.
Yeah, floaty, slow, whatever. Like I don't see anything in the Porsche lineup like that. I just don't. I mean, their slower cars are their base model cars of that brand. I mean, of that model.
Yeah.
That's what their slower cars are, not the. I don't know. Anyways, Gee Whiz thing, right? So this is interesting. So I promised you guys this is an interesting story and kind of a sad story, and then we can get into it because this is kind of a long debate. There's some ethical things here. So Porsche driver stupid news is what I'm labeling this as.
Right.
They had the guy's name, but I'm not going to name him because I don't care. I don't even want to like mention his name. So a guy in
No clout
Melbourne,
here.
yeah, Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne.
That's why I was saying it's kind of like the Florida of that region.
Okay.
Florida man. So he got pulled over, go 149 kilometers an hour in a Porsche. And I think it's raining. Sorry, I got distracted.
Strange for this area.
And he got pulled over by the police. Not that big of a deal. He's speeding, right? He's going to get pulled over. However, he got pulled over. One cop pulled him over. Another cop got behind them to kind of assist. While they were, I guess, talking to this gentleman or walking back to their cruisers or whatever, they were hit by a refrigerator truck, like the cops were.
Really?
And one of the guys, I guess the cops, was like pinned against his cruiser. This guy, the Porsche driver guy, gets out of his car and starts videoing it with his phone. Like this guy, it's like stuck. And he's not like dead yet.
Yeah.
The guy eventually ended up succumbing to his injuries and died.
Probably because, yeah.
However, what a dummy.
What?
Why would you do that anyways from like a morality standpoint?
Exactly.
So this guy didn't try to, full disclaimer, he didn't try to help them. He just videotaped them dying, essentially.
It's crazy.
So he was arrested by the Melbourne police. However you look at the situation, yeah, it was unethical. He's a bad karma, bad person for not trying to help them, all that kind of stuff. I don't know the bylaws of their country or what's going on or any of that stuff. I know we have some friends out there. I don't know if it's illegal to just film somebody dying just because they're law enforcement not helping him. And this guy's lawyer is trying to argue. It says, like, my client didn't do anything wrong. And the police department is trying to charge him.
Public property, and then
Yeah, they're trying to charge him with all of this stuff for, like, I don't know, like lewd in a suit, you know, like all this whatever. Like there's 15 counts of stuff. Yeah, there's like counts and all that stuff because I don't know if he posted it.
Yeah,
I don't know if he did.
That might be.
But I guess they're just obviously really upset that he didn't even like attempt to help them or like call in more law enforcement.
There probably is a bystander law. I would imagine there's in other countries where
instead
you're required.
Of like, and granted, like they were probably injured so bad he couldn't like do anything. But that's besides the point. He didn't even attempt to do anything. Like he's just recording.
But he took
them
the time to like if he
like pull his phone out and record them.
If he had stayed in his car, probably not a big as deal. But he made the effort to get out of his car, which would have endangered them as police officers in general.
Yeah.
And then still didn't help, didn't try, didn't do any of that.
Yeah,
I can see where there might be a bystander law in place to saying like if you get in a wreck or whatever and you're that first person, you need to check on them. You don't need to, but you should check on them, that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's where it falls into, I think, an ethical and morality thing, because I'm not saying I support him not getting in trouble. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a piece of crap. Like, you don't do that to anybody, regardless if it's law enforcement or anyone. I mean, somebody got hit by somebody else and you go out basically and videotape their death. I mean, like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you that dumb?
Yeah.
And you just don't care that much about people? Like, that's a really, really shitty move. But again, I don't know if he is actually violating any laws by doing this. But pretty sad situation, sad for the cops, you know, like sad that happened.
Was it like a highway, or was this
Didn't really get into the details. It was more of kind of like focused on how dumb this guy was. Like being a dum-dum. And they want to make sure they say he was driving a Porsche, though. I think.
Well,
so.
This had douche factor to it.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I knew those guys were assholes.
Yeah.
But you know, on the flip side of it, at least this isn't a Florida. This is an Australia thing. So
yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe
thanks
people
for showing up on that one, Australia.
Intrigued or not?
It's sad. I mean, it's unfortunate that he opted to do that instead of like even attempt to assist with their lives, regardless if he was angry that they pulled. Yeah, even if he's angry that they pulled him over for going and speeding or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, if, you know, in retrospect, if he thought maybe if he helped them, maybe he could have got out of the ticket if he helped them. You know what I mean? Instead of like thinking about like, screw you, you die, basically. Like, and you know, I know there's a lot of like judgment worldwide, everything with law enforcement and how people feel about law enforcement. I don't know if this had anything to do with that. It didn't
Sure.
say, you know, how people are acting toward law enforcement. But it's a human life. You know,
100%.
it's kind of really
Move the car.
not kind of. It is shitty.
Figure
It's a
out
shitty
the
move.
truck situation.
And again, I don't know if he was even in a situation where he could have even assisted them. But the fact that he didn't even attempt to, and he opted to pull his phone out and videotape the situation,
not the right move, bud.
yeah,
Not the right move.
probably gonna have bad karma for the rest of your life now. That's probably what's gonna happen.
Maybe.
So, this month's
On to brighter thoughts.
yeah. On positive notes, I just want to talk about that because this guy's such an idiot, and obviously nobody's listening out here is that dumb. But let somebody else be the dumb guy. Don't do that, obviously. But anyways, Hunsinger Design, Nick Hunsinger is sponsoring
Yep.
this month's giveaway.
Hunsinger.
What are we giving away this month from him?
So we have mugs. We have a poster, coasters, and more.
Okay, I'm asking you because I don't know.
It's a whole cluster of things we have. It's not just one thing.
Okay.
So
Sweet. He's a good friend of ours. We met him when we were in California. He's a great supporter of the show. We really appreciate him. If you haven't looked up any of his artistry, he's an amazing artist. Paints in like Art Deco type of style of painting. He's one of the few people that is allowed to paint for Porsche outside of Porsche, like
Yep.
third-party contracted. Like he painted the mural at PEC Atlanta.
yeah, if you've ever
inside
seen
there.
that thing above the stairway, that's him.
Yeah, he painted that. So all of those like retro 917 shirts that he's pretty popular for, that people like, he's told me that have copied his stuff and resold
Seen
the
it.
shirts that aren't actually his. He has his own brand design, so buy from the source. Nick's a great guy, and he sells
Sweet
all the shirts.
996 GT3.
Yeah, he sells all the shirts. He sells the paintings. He sells the posters. He sells the reprints on them all. So if you want nice artwork, he definitely sells it all. And I mean, he has all the cool stuff. I have some of his actually COVID masks that in like Papilla and like the Pink Pig livery. So he has a lot of cool stuff. If you think he's like Aaron said, he's mugs, Turvises, hats,
Yep.
all Hunsinger design, all original design. And if it's not original design, it's Porsche stuff you recognize, and he's copyrighted and allowed to actually do it. And it's gone through a lot of stuff to make that happen, right? So he also sells race shoes and cool
Yep,
stuff
they're
like
comfortable.
that.
I
Yeah.
can testify to that.
Yeah, he's given us a pair. They're pretty awesome. So he's a great guy overall, and a really big Porsche guy. And overall, he's a race car guy too, right? So he races a Lotus as well,
Yep.
open wheel car, which is awesome.
Not slow at all.
Yeah, he's got an old 911 that he hasn't washed in forever, that he bombs around in the hills, that he loves. And he's also got a GT3, 996 GT3. So this guy is driving.
Living the dream.
Yeah, he is driving, and he's also an artist. So, but like everybody else, he wasn't always just doing that, right? Like he eventually worked his way into selling his art and becoming well known, and then now that's what he does for a living. So it's a good story behind it. If you haven't checked it out, it's one of our earlier podcasts. We actually had him on as a guest. You can rewind the dial, look for his name, and it's a
It'll be there.
pretty lengthy conversation that we have with him, and a very good one. So we get to hear a lot about him.
Interesting person for sure.
Yeah, which is super, super cool. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with some of our cars. So Cayenne's coming around.
Yeah, it's got wheels, tires on it now.
Yeah, roof rack. I think I'm going to try to get it in to do the interior inserts. I'm going to do blue houndstooth inside.
Yep.
I think that's maybe next week. I'm going to try to drop it off to do that. Still waiting on the light bar to come in. I think we're going to put the Sparco mud flaps on it.
That's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, it's going to look pretty cool. And then, so full disclaimer, since it's a Cayenne S, the front brake area is 350 millimeters around.
For the caliper.
So the wheels that I ended up putting on it, because they're 17s with a lot more meat on them, so the rotation of that, we were about 20 millimeters off, so it needed to do a 330 millimeter diameter. So we ended up having to get a smaller piston diameter and
smaller calipers and
smaller
smaller
calipers
rotors.
for the fronts. So basically, I had to take the base Cayenne rotor and put it up there, essentially.
Which is it's all good for it. It's weird that they shifted because that base caliper goes for the Q7 4.2 liter V8s.
Yeah,
and
no, it's still,
everything
I've
else,
driven it. It
yeah.
has still tons of stopping power, but
It's weird that they changed it up.
it's just Porsche stuff, man. Not surprised. And all the research that I did on Renless too, there was no mention of that. And some of these guys had
And now you know,
Cayennes
everybody.
and running the same wheels and all that stuff, and nobody ever talks about like having to change the brakes. But you hear it here first. If you do a Cayenne S Overlander build and you go with a 17-inch wheel, you're going to have to change the front brakes if it's a Cayenne S. If
So
you want to go
18's
17 inch.
would have been fine.
Yeah, 18's fine.
Okay.
But I didn't want to run 18 because I wanted more sidewall.
Yeah.
So I wanted more of that sidewall
Must be able
look.
to air it down, take it rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Get that mudding going, bud. And that Cayenne mudding.
Just some sand
Some
paddles.
stupid stuff. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's that. Again, ordered a front tower strut bar for the 996 for a little bit
Yep.
more stability there.
Things you don't know you need until you go to
Yeah,
drive.
cages in the 996. Thanks
yeah.
to Titan Motorsports. If you haven't seen that video, it's on YouTube with the install and how they actually make the cages and all that stuff. It's all chromoly stuff. It's awesome. Super thankful to Titan for making that for me and putting that in. I made that in record time and got it in right before we went up to our trip up north.
Yep.
So
You can
if
get
I
through
did go off
Titan.
the cliff,
Yeah.
it was going to like save me.
Somewhat, yeah.
So it's kind of like it was aesthetics and it was a little bit of that because I was like, if I go off,
I'm good.
like at least I might be coming back. So that was my thought behind it. But it does look really, really good in there. It's that yellow pops on that cage. It matches the calibers and the seat belts,
Yeah.
and especially against that gray. So it gives it a little bit of life, kind of. 964 is still running good. Nothing going on with that car. Getting ready to head up to Targa, Carolina. Is an all air cooled event in October. So that car will be making the trek up that way with some friends. What do you got going on? You got some stuff cooking with your car, right?
We'll see. Well, right now, hopefully, I should be getting pictures soon. So I'll be caged just like old Michael.
Nice.
And the cool color, we'll leave the color out for until I decide. But I'm pretty sure I know what color I'm going to
Undecided.
go.
Okay.
Well, I know what color I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
So it'll be a reveal. Definitely looking at bigger brakes.
Yeah.
100%.
Need that.
So I don't know if I'm going to get just a turbo. I'm going to do the research because I think that the PCCB brakes, I think it's the same pistons and everything that the turbo is. I don't really think it's much different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just ignorant on that point for the 997s.
Are you just talking calibers? Or?
Calipers.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get calipers out to get bigger rotors too. Cause
Yeah, I
know
know.
they're bigger
But I mean,
rotors.
just stick to steel because I mean
Yeah.
you're going to pay a fortune if you're trying to go carbon.
It's true.
Like you don't
Yeah.
you don't need to do that on that car. Not
And
for
then,
mountain driving. I mean,
What else?
upgrade your brake fluid. Upgrade.
Yeah, it's
upgrade
already
the.
it's already Motul.
Yeah. Upgrade the calibers. Upgrade your
Yeah.
rotors, and you should be good to go. Gyro disc makes a good brake.
Yeah, I'll probably
Yeah.
just do those.
Yeah, you should be able to upgrade. Like you be ready for next year.
And then definitely a
Might want to
sway
get it out after you do all that stuff too. Like do it early enough. Maybe you can get it on the track a couple times
Yeah.
too.
I
And
saw
that way
those
you can
in some
start
DE
to
events and stuff. I want to do that.
start to get used to how it feels. The braking
third
on it.
radiator. That's something I want to do. There's a
Okay.
center one that you can get.
Were you getting hot while you were up there?
I felt like it wasn't really that hot. I just
Storm
want
out
to
there.
I just want to push it in case.
Yeah.
Well, my oil temps were hotter than they've ever been.
Really?
Yeah,
Mine
a
stayed
lot.
the same.
How much were what was your range?
It was running at 190.
I was in like 200, 25, 30, something like that.
The car's got good cooling though.
Yeah.
A lot of ducts.
A lot of ducks.
Yeah, coming out of it. Cool. So I'm excited to see what your car to make a little bit of transformation. Cage,
probably wheels
maybe
too.
wheels.
Oh,
Yeah,
wheels will happen.
you need to do it. Do it, man. Get it done.
August next year.
Yeah, I don't want to see any last minute stuff going on with your car, man. Like you need. This guy's been buying an air cooled for the last 3 years, and then this guy's like, I'm gonna do wheels. He's
before
been
my
buying
payment.
wheels. Yeah, he's been buying wheels for 2 years, and it's just like, God damn, dude, just buy them. Like, stop him hawing around about the shit and just make it happen. Well, let's do this and
I got things to do.
yeah.
That stuff.
Whatever. Buy brakes first then. If you're not going to do anything, if you're going to be scared of all that stuff, just buy brakes at least. You need
That's-
brakes. You
I
need
know
sway
that.
bars. Do that first because that stuff's important. get that stuff knocked out. I don't have anything else. I think that's a wrap up. Don't forget to join the club because we're going to make it be an announcement of the exact dates of the next foreign, and you can only go if you're a club member. Also, you can only win our giveaways if you're a club member. So you win-win, and you get a
Double
bunch of club
wins.
stuff anyways when you first sign up, like shirts, cards, decals, all that good
Yes.
stuff.
And if you don't get them, let us know, because this has happened where people are like, hey, it's been a year. Like, yeah. So I signed up again, but I didn't get my decal from last year. Okay.
Yeah.
So post office is not always reliable.
Yeah, give us a shout. You got our email. Let us know. pcartalk.com.
Yep.
Let us know if you didn't get something, if you did order, and we'll just track it and make sure that that we've sent it. And if you haven't, then we'll resend it.
Yeah.
Alrighty? All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk or online at pcartalk.com.